Initial impression, this motor is badass. Hey guys, it's Morgan coming to you with the in-depth 300 build. If you don't know, I've been riding a 2018 250 XCW for the last 2 years. It's got 280 hours on it. I blew it up going wide open down a road in Idaho and seized the top end. So instead of fixing that cylinder and going back to 250 or whatever, I decided I'd go ahead and get the KTM SXS 300 kit and build the thing up. The crankshaft seemed fine. Everything seemed good on the bottom end, so I figured let's just do a KTM kit. So without further ado, here's what it looks like to build a 300 out of your 250. Now let's take a look at what comes in the KTM 300 kit. So if you have a 250, you want a 300, it's awesome. You buy the kit and it's got everything in it. Let me show you what's in it. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, to start, shiny new cylinder, new flange, everything brand new, 300 cc's wide, whatever that is. I'm not sure exactly what that bore ends up being, but yeah, obviously a cylinder, piston. OEM pistons from KTM are Vertex pistons when it comes to two-strokes at least. Cylinder head, brand new. CDI box, all the power valve parts. Honestly, this is like one of the nicest things. You get all of them, even the little keepers, the side parts, flapper, actuators, all the bolts, everything you need. It is really, really nice. Top end bearing O-rings, crush washers for the head bolts, and all the base gaskets. The soon-to-be Daisy 300 right there. Really excited to put this together, but first things first, the cylinder. Now, I'm not going to port this by I'm not going to change port heights in here. What I am going to do is knife edge this and kind of take, just clean up these casting marks a little bit with my Dremel. That's really the biggest thing that I do on a two-stroke cylinder these days. The other thing is I'm going to match up where the flange meets the cylinder. There's a little bit of a roughness there. Match that all up so it's nice and perfect, and then we'll be good to go. I'm not going to polish this exhaust port. That's not a horrible idea, but that takes a ton of time, and I don't feel like it really does that much to make it run good. So I'm gonna start here. We'll do that right now. I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done, and then we'll go forward. All right, so I just got one side down. I just want to show you guys right now what it looks like, just so you can really see the difference between the two sides. So, if you look here, here's the side that I just got done. Made this edge right here a lot sharper, and I just kind of hit all these surfaces with the stone on the Dremel to help it clean up the casting, and then also, you don't want to make it smooth. You want it to be a little bit rough, but flat, if that makes sense, so that it helps to swirl the charge because these are the transfer ports. So when the piston's coming down, which in this orientation would be up, but if the piston coming down, it would push the fuel air charge up and into the cylinder to then be combusted or compressed and then combusted. And so you want it to swirl that air and atomize that as much as possible. Also, the reason you put a sharper edge on here is so that as it comes in, it splits and goes up easier without a lot of turbulence. So if you look over here, you can really see the difference between that and that. And so I gotta get that down in there a little bit more. But you can see the difference there, that's a better shot. So there to there. So that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing a whole bunch to it. I just wanna make it nice. I mean, I got the thing apart, it's brand new. I might as well do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side and then match up the exhaust and we'll be good to go. Done now. Take a look inside here just real quick. You can still see a little bit of the seam right there, but I really just don't want to remove that much material, but it kind of just went around there, tried to match up all that. Like I said, I'm not doing anything crazy, not trying to make some super duper race bike out of this thing. I just want to make it right, so I feel good about that now. Got everything all done on the bottom, that all done, so I think I'm happy with that. So now You want to do all this before you put any of the power valve parts and all that stuff in there, because it does spray aluminum everywhere, and that'll like not gum up, but it'll make the stuff not move correctly, and then you obviously don't want that in the motor once it's run. So now we can blow it all out, clean it all out. So shiny and pretty. So good. So guys, I like to take a little bit of this red assembly lube, put it on all these parts that are going to be spinning. It gets lubed by two-stroke oil eventually, but it's going to take a little while for that to get there. So I like to make sure it's nice and smooth moving. Alright guys, so in looking through this kit, at least the box that I got from this dealer down in Texas, it was missing a few things. It was missing these O-rings that go right there. But fortunately, I have them. It was also missing the O-rings that go on these little side guys, but I also have those. So if you're buying one of these kits, before you just go tearing into it and get ready to put it together, I would check everything and make sure it's all there. Probably, I would imagine it had everything from KTM, but maybe these guys had this on the shelf and they robbed a couple parts and didn't get everything back in it or whatever. I don't know. But just something to pay attention to. It's not a big deal, but it would be a huge bummer if you just didn't have that. So this guy, there's no gasket here, not from the factory or anything, so we're just going to take a little bit of our 1184 3-bond. Alright guys, so when you use that 3-bond stuff or Yama bond or whatever, it's all the same, by the way. When you put it on, you want to let it sit for a few minutes and get kind of tacky before you put it on, otherwise it'll squish out too much. So we're going to let this sit here for a little bit, and then we're going to put it on in just a second. Alright, so got it on, getting ready to put the bolts in, but I like running these. This is from Trail Tech Flange Protector, because I have seen multiple times in my life the flange get broken when you hit something with the pipe hard enough and it cocks it and it'll break it out. And it's not so much that that flange is expensive or anything like that. It's like it totally ruins the day, and I don't like my days being ruined. It's one of the reasons I run mooses. It's why I like carbureted dirt bikes and Kickstarters and all that stuff. I just want to be able to continue. Obviously, yes, it's a bit of an irony that I'm rebuilding this motorcycle, but you know what I mean. So I like these guys. Going to put this thing on. Super simple. Just sits on like that. Bolts go in, tighten it down. It's all good. So I know the compressor's running, it's hard to hear me, but when you're done with that, and yeah, I should probably like wait and edit this, but I'm just not that guy. And you guys know it. So anyway, when you're done with that, you want to tighten it all down, and then you want to grab the end of the power valve and make sure you can move it just with your fingers and move it nice and smooth. If it binds up at all, you've done something wrong or pinched something, so you want to make sure it moves nice and good. It's all good. Now we can build each side. So we'll start with the left side. So on these, fortunately, there is a little L right there that helps you see which one goes where. We gotta get those other O-rings here real fast. All right, so O-ring. A little bit of assembly lube. Drop her in here. This retainer goes like that. And the cool thing is the kit comes with new bolts with the Loctite already on them, so that's awesome. Quick tech tip, guys, if you're installing something that has multiple holes in one piece of metal, don't tighten any one of them down until you get them all started. I've mentioned that numerous times, but it always is good to hear. So we get that guy. So now since they're both started, it can't really go anywhere. Now we can tighten it down. So like with the other part, after you tighten that down, you want to grab this, make sure it moves. It does. And we take our actuator piece, whatever that thing's called, and timing it. So you want the power valve flapper all the way down, which, as you can see in there, anyway, it's down all the way. And obviously this can only go on one way with the notch. And then you want it to where, as this moves, it goes the full range. Right? So it's pretty simple, but people mess it up all the time. So do that. So this little short guy is going to be our adjuster, or the thing that sets the height of the power valve. So we're going to take this and get some red Loctite on that. So what you can do is you can actually raise this up and you can change this, the height of this, to set the closed height on your power valve. But I like almost all the way down. And the thing is, if you do it all the way down, you're going to get the most bottom end out of the motor, right? Because the flap's going to be all the way close as far as it can be before it starts to open. So I like to go like that. Again, with everything, want to make sure it moves. So you saw me fiddling with that because when I tightened this stopper down, it kept it from opening all the way because it goes through, and I was wondering, I think there's supposed to be a washer. There is. I just didn't look close enough. So make sure you get that guy out. And there's a lock washer. There we go. Now we're getting full motion. All right, now this side. All right, so this one's a little bit different. Doesn't work exactly like the other one. This part's the same though. Get that retainer, put that in. So this part goes on just like normal. Then we got this other stuff, because this is the actuator. This is where the piece comes up from the bottom to actually make this thing work. This is the steel spacer, goes underneath. Goes over that. So take your spring. This goes on with the long piece down. See, if you look real close there, I don't know if you can see that, but the long piece goes in the groove that's behind the ball, okay? And then this piece goes up and over that, and this is kind of a pain, but if you start this bolt first, you'll be better off. Kind of get it down a little ways. I'm gonna go over like that. And as you're tightening this, you want to look back in here and make sure that you're not pinching the spring between this plate and this spacer. It needs to go all the way over it. You hold this down, and this should be able to spring and then open it. And that's to give it some, basically as the rod's pushing up on it, you don't want it to, if this is bound up or something like that, you don't want it to jam up and mess things up in the bottom end. So it's got that little bit of give in there because of the spring. I like it. So, power valve, totally built. That's awesome. Now, another thing that they don't tell you when you buy one of these is it comes with pretty much everything except these covers on the sides, okay? So make sure you don't throw those away if you've blown up the cylinder. So we'll get those here, get the motor up here, and we'll get the top end put on. Alright, so we got it all cleaned up, looking good. Now we got to do the whole base gasket thing. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of fussing and over all the X factor, blah, 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 whatever. You can put the thickest one on or the thinnest one on. The piston's not going to hit the head. So, in my opinion, let's get the one on. And yeah, it changes the port height. It totally changes the way it runs. I get it. But not enough for me to know. So what I like to do is, I don't like to use the thinnest one because I've had one of those blow out. So that's that one. Throw that one away. That's the thickest one. That lowers the compression, so I don't need that. Let's go with this one. Honestly, folks, that is all you need to do. If you want to build the absolute perfect motor, then yeah, you need to measure this and do that and all that stuff 100%. But if you're just building a bike to go ride in the mountains and beat on and throw down and maybe blow up on a road, that's all you need to do. Take our rag in here so we don't accidentally drop a clip down in here. I'm not going to go into the whole circlip thing either. The stock ones suck to put in. That's what I'm dealing with here. The other ones out of the old 380s are way easier. But I can do these, so I don't worry about it much. If you're really having trouble, then I would buy the easy clips either from Slavens or from your local KTM dealer. We got our piston. Arrow goes forward towards the exhaust. Alright guys, ready to slide the cylinder on. Everything looks great. Got the ring end gaps lined up. Now I'm gonna take just a little bit of assembly lube again. Boom. Just like that. So the kit does come with cylinder head bolts, but it does not come with the nuts for the cylinder base. So gotta grab those from the other one. Alright, next we have to connect this rod to the actuator, push it all the way down, and it just clips on. Then you take your little keeper guy, boom, just like that. Power valve is all hooked up now and will work regardless of anything else we do. So I've got the covers over in the ultrasonic. That's the bzzz that you can hear. And now I'm going to put the top on it. That'll be good. And then actually I'll probably take this thing and put it in the frame. Motor's in the frame. Wee-hee! Now I gotta put these covers on where the O-ring goes. Alright guys, motor's together, there's oil in it, there's coolant in it, the gas is on it, it's on, air filter's clean and oiled. All that's left is hitting this button. Zach doesn't think it's going to start.
I think it'll start.
Yeah, we're all just actually, so we're all betting. Actually, if you're watching this, comment below before I start this thing whether or not you think it's going to blow up. I think it's going to start, and I feel pretty good that the crank will be fine, but there's always a chance when you do something that bad to it that, yeah. So, yeah, we're going to find out right now. So yeah, here we go. Without further ado, 300 kit, CDI, everything. I'm gonna here after I'm done seeing if it works and all that. I'll go over what we got going on as far as jetting and all that stuff. Did put a brand new FMF pipe on it, gnarly. So pretty excited about that. So yeah, guys, I guess let's see what happens. Right on. Daisy is back and ready for the death march. I actually have a couple more things I'm going to do to her before I get her ready. Obviously, the motor oil and all that's good. I am going to ride it a couple times, so I probably will change that. Go through all the nuts and bolts again before the death march. But I know a lot of you guys want to know what I'm doing with jetting. Now it's a 300 and not a 250, and the answer is nothing yet. So JD, which is the kit I use, I mean, I love his needle on the Mikuni carburetor, and the only difference between the 250 and the 300 jetting wise is actually the 300 calls for leaner jets, because the 300 draws more, has more vacuum, so it pulls harder on the carburetor, which means it could pull more gas through the same size hole, which then could make it rich. So they actually tell you to go down a main jet size and down a pilot jet size. The needles, I don't know if they're different. They might be different. They say they are. They look really close. If they are different, it's just like where the taper starts probably. And I'm going to leave that needle in the number 2. So I'm right now going to be running a 390 main jet, a 32.5 pilot, and the red needle in the number 2 position for this next ride. So make sure you stick around. I'm definitely going to film this Thursday's ride because I want to go and kind of beat on this thing a little bit and make sure everything's going to be okay before the death march, and also check the jetting out because I don't really know. So jetting's exactly like it was for a 250. I have a gnarly pipe on it, which shouldn't change the jetting at all. I've got, let's see, everything else is pretty well just the way it was. So yeah, now it's 300. So I'm excited to test ride it tomorrow. Right on, guys. Thanks so much for joining me for this video. I hope you liked it. If you do like these kind of videos, it would just mean the world if you hit the subscribe button. It makes a huge difference. We're trying to grow this channel, get more sponsors, build this thing up so it gives me more freedom to do even more awesome videos like this for you guys and take requests on what you guys want to see and just do it. If that makes sense to you and it sounds awesome, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. If you really like what we're doing and you want to support us financially, we have a Patreon page. It's just patreon.com/Highland Cycles. I'll put a link in the description. You can support us there. It really makes a big difference. My patrons are what helped me buy the electric start kit that's coming for my 250YZ. So make sure you subscribe if you want to watch that. We'll be installing the Panther Motorsports electric start on an 07 YZ250 soon. So anyway, guys, you know what I'm going to say. I want you to get out, spread the gospel of two wheels, and I really, really hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on and, more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!